I'm Annie Stores, welcome back to another video. So this week's video is the third and I guess final part of the planning and logistics of our Florida trip, and we're focusing this week on Disney. So if you haven't seen the reveal video, then do go and check that out. I will link it down below. And yeah, we're just hopefully going to have an amazing trip coming up. We're in Florida for 3 weeks, split across Universal, Disney and off-site. So lots of things to share with you and loads of upcoming vlogs. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Stick around for that because there's lots of exciting things coming. But yeah, for this week's video, we're going to talk through the details of the Disney portion of the trip, which I am just thrilled to share with you. So I've just got my phone here actually because there's just quite a few details to remember. So when we looked at the Disney portion of the trip, Disney had just released an offer which included dining credit. Now this is a big shift from what Disney have done previously with the Disney dining plans, and let's be honest, it's a bit disappointing because this dining credit that they're offering doesn't touch at all the Disney dining plan. No matter how you want to kind of talk it up, it's not the same. It's not the same. The benefits are nowhere near as good. So there was that to contend with, but obviously that's a better offer than no offer. So clearly when that came out, we thought, well, that's the offer that we're going to book with. Now the dining credit differed depending on the tier of resort that you're staying at. It did include value, obviously all the way up to deluxe, and normally we would choose to stay at a value resort because we're at the parks all day. We don't need the biggest fanciest room because we're never in it, so we normally save costs at the resort basis or hotel and spend that money elsewhere, usually merchandise and food. So but for this, because the dining credit was associated with the tier of hotel, we did price up a lot of different options, and actually what we found was that if we booked a moderate, then it was still within a comfortable budget spend for us in terms of what we want to spend on the room, but also gave us a bit more of a kickback in terms of the dining credit. So what we ended up booking, we booked 10 nights at Disney's Coronado Springs, which is the moderate resort, and it looks stunning, absolutely stunning. Definitely more grown up than where we've stayed before, like All-Star Movies. It's not so big on the Disney theming, but like I say, we're not really going to be at the room or the resort that much. That doesn't really bother us. And actually Oscar has got like a fine taste. He really does enjoy like fancy hotels, so he'll be happy. So we've booked Coronado Springs Standard View. Because we are a touring plan subscriber, I have submitted a room request to try and request a preferred room, but let's see if that works out. But if so, we have asked for cabanas because I think that's where we're allowed to stay with the standard room, and we've booked a particular or requested a particular room that's close to the tower, close to the bus stops. So hopefully we'll get that request. That included Disney 14-day ultimate tickets, which I don't think they're selling the ultimate tickets anymore. I think they've changed it to something else. I think the benefit of still booking or being able to book on the ultimate ticket offer was that it includes the memory maker, so the photo package. That's great. It also included $250 Disney spending money, which at the time, and the reason why we actually booked with attraction tickets rather than direct with Disney is because Disney were offering that same package but only $200 in the gift card. Everything else was the same, but with Disney it was $200 gift card, and I think it includes like a hamper or like a welcome basket, but we looked at that and thought didn't really fancy that. So clearly the difference is probably going on the hamper, but that's fine because I'd rather spend the money, the extra $50 on something we want rather than what's included. So that's great. It includes Star Wars Galaxy's Edge magic bands, which we're not massive fans of Star Wars, we did really appreciate Galaxy's Edge and can't wait to explore that area again. But again, because there's no free magic bands anymore, we do have magic bands from our last trip, but from 2019 I'm just not sure that they're going to hold out. We might still buy some while we're there perhaps, but again, it's kind of a bit of a waste of money really, isn't it, unless you're kind of going repeatedly within the year and will make use of them. So I think the Galaxy's Edge ones will be sufficient. And then you have got that Disney dining credit per night, which is $61 per night. So for our 10 nights, $610 in total. All of that through attraction tickets. We got a £35 discount from being like DIB Forum members. We therefore paid £3,481, which is definitely the most expensive proportion of the trip. In fact, if you can compare the cost that I've shared previously, Universal to Disney for kind of similar length time, some of the discount or some of the perks are slightly different. Obviously the resort is moderate versus value, but still though, it is an expensive trip. So logistics for Disney, there's so much to do that I really struggled to try and book the 10 days there, because there is just so much to do that you can't possibly squeeze it all in. So it was more of a case of trying to prioritize. Now, I mentioned touring plans before. I always use their crowd calendar to book my park days, because we want to obviously go to the park with the lowest crowds, which does mean, slightly controversially, our first Disney day is not at Magic Kingdom. It's at Epcot. But that is just purely because of the crowd calendar. I'm following that. It worked for us so well in 2019. So we feel like it's tried and tested, that we're going there again. We're using it again. But yeah, no Magic Kingdom on the first day. Shocking, I know. But Epcot, we love Epcot. Love, love, love Epcot. So how we have split our days. Firstly, we've given ourselves a free day towards the back end of the trip. We didn't do that last time. We gave ourselves 3 days up front, and by the end we were flagging, because long days, hot weather, on your feet all day. It's not a relaxing trip. Best kinds of trips, but they're certainly not relaxing. So we've booked our free day towards the back end. That's when we're hoping to make use of the water park. I see that Typhoon Lagoon has just opened up again after 2 years. So hopefully it will be Typhoon Lagoon that we get to go to. Fingers crossed. So that's kind of ring fence for that. But then all the other days we have booked park days, and we've kind of split it. I think Magic Kingdom has got the biggest proportion, maybe with 3 days and 2 days in each of the rest of the parks. No, that's not true actually. It's 3 days at Magic Kingdom, 3 days at Epcot, 2 days at Hollywood Studios, and 2 days at Animal Kingdom. We have made our park reservations already. As soon as we booked with attraction tickets and the order was confirmed, we received a reference number that you can put into Disney's official website. It links your tickets and you can start booking your park days straight away. So that's fab. So don't worry if you're booking non-direct and you're worried about things like that, because it works exactly the same. So we had our park reservations booked in ages ago. We didn't struggle. I think it must be a slightly quieter time of the year, even though it does fall over a UK half term and also President's Day and also Princess Marathon weekend. So we are kind of avoiding certain days. But yeah, we didn't struggle to get the reservations, and the last time I checked they were still available now. So hopefully no big scramble. Hopefully that means the parks are a little bit quieter. And there's just so much to think about, because Disney is a very different experience than when we went in 2019. Firstly, big elephant in the room is obviously Genie Plus and the removal of Fastpass. Now, that is obviously really disappointing. They're obviously now charging for something that you used to get for free. Again, I've seen so many people talk it up as to why that's such a benefit now, but let's be honest, it's not. It's a charge for something you used to get for free. So Genie Plus, there is currently a UK offer on where you can buy Genie Plus for $6.99 a day. Over there, I believe it's $15 a day per person. This is, sorry, per person, just to be clear. And we did look at that to say, well, it's cheaper if we buy it up front. Is that something we want to do? And you kind of, it's easy to kind of like suck it into the offers, isn't it? Because you just think, it feels like we're going to need it, that seems like the best price. But then we stopped and thought to ourselves, you can only do that if you're buying it for the full 14 days. We're obviously not there for 14 days, we're there for 10 nights, and that's kind of going to be 10.5 days, because we're going to have, before our flight back, which is in the evening, we're going to do a half day in Magic Kingdom, which we wouldn't use Genie Plus for that anyway. So really it is only, if you take off our water park day, 9 days. And we figured that actually we'd probably want to go to the parks first, just to kind of see what it is like before purchasing anything else. So I think what we worked out is that even if we were to pay the $15 for every single day that we do in the Disney parks, it kind of works out there or thereabouts than buying it for 14 days at the reduced price of $6.99. So there was no point us buying it up front, was the short version of that story. Now, as you've probably seen, with my ulcerative colitis, we are eligible for the DAS pass, which we will be making use of. That certainly helps for me not having to stand in queues with my joint pain and the other symptoms of colitis. So we're thinking that with the DAS pass, that will probably help us out a bit anyway, but then we might still look at purchasing Genie Plus just so we've got something else, because with the DAS pass, it's not a skip to the front of the line or anything like that. You still have to queue the same, but you just queue outside of the ride rather than having to stand static or walk around a big area. You can just wait outside or do whatever you need to do. So the amount of attractions we'll be able to get in would be the same as anybody else, but we're just queuing differently for it. So therefore I still think Genie Plus is possibly going to be needed, but I think it just depends on what the crowds are like there, what the standby lines are like. But obviously the benefit of doing it is buying it first thing in the morning, activating your first ride from 7 AM, so we will need to make a decision before the day of the park, because you can't just buy it later unless you want to purchase the individual lightning lanes, which, I mean, never say never, but I'm pretty sure as I'm sat here now, we will not be doing, because I think even the cheapest ones were like $9 per person for one ride. I just can't see that happening unless it's something we're really desperate to do and we just can't get on for whatever reason. Then maybe, but I just think the amount of money we're already spending on the Disney portion of the trip, it's not really for me to then be spending an extra $30 to $50 just to ride one ride for the three of us. So I think that's out, but we'll see. Never say never. Sorry if I contradict myself later because we get so carried away, but unlikely. So then thinking about the dining, as mentioned, I will be doing a completely separate dining video because there's so much to talk to you around and I want to show you how we've booked, what we've booked, etc. But again, because it's the dining credit and not the dining plan, we will be making use of quick service, table service. We'll probably be buying some of our own snacks as well while we're there for like maybe breakfast and things, grabbing something on the go. And we do have a couple of signatures booked in. So we're kind of sampling things from every sort of aspect. And I just love the dining. Especially after our trip in 2019, there are certain things that we have just discounted and we said we wouldn't go back to them, but other places that we absolutely loved and are on the list, which I will talk to you about soon. But that's $610 though, and I'll go into it more when I do that dining video. It doesn't touch the sides, it really doesn't. I think the only way you could make that credit stretch the full trip was if you were probably limiting yourself to maybe 2 counter services per day. I don't think you could do breakfast, lunch and dinner. I think you could only do 2. And that would be it. It really doesn't go far, and that's with this sort of upped credit from staying at the moderate. $610 based on what we've booked is probably enough to cover 3 nights, something like that. So, which is our choice obviously, because like I say, we have booked signatures, we have booked table service, and we will be utilising counter service as well. But yeah, if you were to try and use that whole credit for your whole trip, I just don't think it would work, which again is the disbenefit of the credit versus the dining plan. Whereas at least if the dining plan, if you're on a budget, you know that you're going to get fed every day, whereas that dining credit, you're going to have to watch it, because if it runs out, obviously you'll need to pay out of pocket or not eat, which isn't really an option. So if you have got a Disney trip booked, then do the math. Hopefully our upcoming dining video will help with what we've done, but do the math first. Don't catch yourself out, because that wouldn't be great, would it? So it is disappointing, the dining credit, but every little helps, right? It's still $610 towards our holiday spend, which is great. Better than a kick in the teeth, isn't it? So yeah, and that's what we'll be utilising. And there are so many places to try, so many new snacks that have come out. Certainly lots of the 50th anniversary snacks, which we're really excited for. So really excited for the Disney dining portion of the trip. And just on that note around the dining, there are a couple of places that we've booked at other resorts, and we're not hiring a car for this because post-pandemic car hire rates, certainly in the US at the moment, are ridiculous. I think obviously during the pandemic people had to sell their supplies and things, and then obviously with things bouncing back now, there's just not the supply for the demand, so the car hire rates were just out of the question for us. So we are going to have to utilise Disney transport. Now at Coronado Springs, based on where you're staying, there are 4 different bus stops, which we've been having a look at. It feels, because the resort is so big, that the transport option is possibly going to be a little bit frustrating, because I think we've kind of got 2 options. If you go for the first bus stop, then you're kind of going to be on it while it's doing the full loop of the resort, which can take, I believe, between 10 and 20 minutes. But then equally, if you put yourself at the last bus stop, then there might be a risk that if the bus is full, you're not getting on it. So we've been having a look, and that's where we've put our touring plan request in, to try and get between 2 different bus stops. So because it wasn't really clear which one was which, actually in the sequence we saw 2 different bits of conflicting information, which didn't help because it didn't answer the question. So at least hopefully we'll have the choice between one of 2 bus stops, and whilst we're there we'll work out which is the best one for us. But when we're talking about dining and we've got some meals booked at other resorts, we're just gonna get an Uber or a Lyft, which is what we did last time, because the transport, if you go into different resorts, you have to go somewhere first to go to a resort. So it might be that you have to go to a park or Disney Springs to then get a bus to one of the other resorts, and that's then potentially building up to like an hour into the plan. Now, because some of the different bookings that we've got are for breakfast, which are early, like 7:30, we're not faffing around on a bus for an hour. So we are just going to Uber or Lyft to those different resorts, and we've worked it out already. And because that's one of the benefits that you can do, is you can pre-look at your journey and get a rough price for it, which is what we've done when we've been doing our planning. Obviously it's not 100% exact, because it will differ a bit depending on the times and surge prices, etc. But it gives you a rough gauge so that you can build it into your budget, and it's no more than sort of $10–15, which I know is extra on top, but that certainly negates the cost of any car hire anyway, and it's just going to be easier for us in the morning just to kind of go straight from A to B rather than messing around on a bus. So that's what we're going to do whilst we're there and wanting to go to other resorts. And it's always nice to explore the other resorts, isn't it? Because they're all so beautiful and so much to see. Lots of them have individual merch as well, which is great. So yeah, lots to see and do in Disney. So I don't think there's much more I can add to that at the moment. Like I say, in terms of upcoming videos, dedicated one to dining, I think I'll split that across Universal and Disney, just because there's different places, and that video I don't want it to be mega long, so I'll split that one into 2. Outfits, definitely want to share that with you when everything arrives. That's quite exciting. I've definitely gone like theme for like me and Oscar, so that would be nice to share. And then I was contemplating whether or not it would be useful from a planning perspective to just do a sort of general video around all the things that we've had to book and consider, from Esther's to testing to car hire versus other costs, other things that you will definitely need while you're there. So let me know if you think that would be of use. Obviously it's not too much long before we actually go on the trips, and therefore the vlogs will be starting. What we're planning for is to start publishing the vlogs when we get home, so there will be some more planning stuff that comes ahead of that. But yeah, so far so good, and yeah, we're just really keeping our fingers crossed. But as I've said for all these videos, if you've got any other tips to share with us, then please do drop us a comment down below. It's always really appreciated. But thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you again soon.